Well, as most of you know, I took a little bit of a road trip yesterday. I was contacted by a lady out of Plymouth, Minnesota, and she told me that she had a Husqvarna Viking that had been run over by a car. Not kidding. And that it was pretty much junk and she was going to be getting rid of it. She had found me on the internet and would I be interested in getting it for free? I said, yeah, of course. And so I made the drive all the way to Plymouth, which is a good distance, and you could Google it from Oconto, Wisconsin to Plymouth. And when I got there and I saw it and I started to evaluate it in that, I got really excited, and she saw that excitement, and then all of a sudden the free price tag changed to a $sign. So we ended up negotiating a price, and I scooped up this very, very fragile, damaged beauty and loaded her in the car and headed back to Wisconsin. So I'm going to show you what I got and what I have to work with, okay? And that little tune that we just played is called The Throne. I'm going to put on now the Wedding Invitation. And obviously His Majesty the King was very, very relieved, but also upset that one of his Swedish beauties had been so seriously hurt. So a lot of talking last night when I got back, and he's okay now. Now from the front, when you look at this Swedish beauty, she looks pristine, doesn't she? Well, minus the stitch length knob, obviously. I'll zoom in on that for you. Oh, I should go back up, and you can't see it from this angle, but that was snapped off too, the end of that. And those are so doggone hard to find. They just are. And in all of my experience, I have never seen a machine that went through enough trauma that the extension bed was snapped in half. Let me show you that next. I'll just put on a little bit more music. I think you'll be able to see it from that angle. And you can see these are obviously cast. And like I've said about the pedestal feet on some of the FOF machines, you just have to be mindful that casting leaves tiny little air bubbles in the different gap points within that material. So when it gets traumatized to the extent of getting run over by a car, it's not going to stand up to it. It's just not. And it's a nice clean break, so it can be repaired, but unless it's completely repainted, and the paint on Husqvarna's is obviously very specialized, it would have to be color matched so that it wasn't as noticeable. But it certainly is something that could become functional again to a great extent. A couple little pieces kind of missing. I can't see where the screen is. Yeah, a couple little pieces kind of missing there, where even when we join it together, there'll be a slight gap point, and it could be filled with putty, obviously, just so that this thing doesn't, obviously I'm not going to throw it away, so it doesn't go to waste, you know what I mean? Because apart from this break where it was run over with this car, it's a beautiful bed. It really is lovely. Needs a little bit of cleanup, but all in all, it's a lovely bed. And it even has a little eraser foot on it to boot. Plus the spring on here for anchoring it to the machine works beautifully as well. So it'd be just a shame to, to just get rid of it. I couldn't do that. I just wouldn't. So let me turn the machine around and we can look at some of the damage on the rear of the machine as well. Now, there were leaves blowing around. I brought one of the leaves back from Plymouth, Minnesota. It really is fall season, isn't it? It really, really is fall season, just the leaves. And you saw, some of you saw on the Facebook posts, the leaves are turning fast and furious in Minnesota. I think they're starting to do a lot of turning all over the country, or any other places that get cold all over the world for that matter. But it's a beautiful time of the year. I love it. So this piece got broken out. This is obviously repairable as well. It kind of got punched through. Amazing the whole thing didn't get shattered, quite honestly. Amazing it didn't get shattered. And just all in all, it's a beautiful Swedish Beauty. She is gorgeous. So I'm really going to look forward to getting her back up on her feet. And a couple of you asked what model she was. And you can see that she's a CL21A. I've always referred to that as CI21A, and I'm going to kind of stick with that because the Swedish have always been real particular about capitalizing letters when it's associated with manufacturing plates and that. So Hans and I even kind of chatted through this a little bit, and he goes, oh, the Swedish do whatever they're going to do. But whether you call it a CI21A or CL21A, I would refer to it as a CI21A. It's a Class 21A. That's really what it amounts to. And you can see it's a 1 amp motor. And obviously once I go through this motor, it's going to have more than enough grit to get the job done. And I was amazed. I did plug it in on the front stoop of this lady's house, and it actually fired up. And the only problem is you can't see it in the shot. The switch that turns the light on has been damaged as well. And obviously inside of the machine we have cam A. And it did come with other cams as well, which I thought was just a treasure trove. And you can see that this cleated belt also looks like it's in real good order, real good condition. I'm going to kind of turn the balance wheel a little bit and we'll look at it from end to end and just see if we see any sign of damage at all. This apparently, from what the owner said, who was the daughter of the original owner, her dad got this, won it as a gift or as a prize somehow in a contest, and got it brand spanking new. And so it's been in the family. It's an original owner machine. It went from the dad to the mom, and then eventually to this daughter that I met. Yeah, that's a beautiful cleated belt. It looks like it's gotten very, very little use. And I'm feeling the long belt on the inside. It feels like that's got some glazing on it. So obviously I'm going to change that out with one of my belts that I use as replacement belts. It's basically how would you describe it? It's almost like a cleated type belt. It's got little teeth on it that kind of bite into that balance wheel pulley. But what a shame, what a shame. And again, like I said in the Facebook post, I did not ask how it happened. Or I already knew how it happened, I should say. I didn't ask who was driving the car. Who was driving the car when it went over the top of the machine, but... And I don't know if it was in the case or not. These cases have a little bit of flexibility to them, so it's possible that it was in the case. Because the case looked a little bit bent out of shape too. When I first got it, I kind of popped it back into shape. I'm just seeing if I can go to those Facebook shots real quick right now. For those of you that don't do Facebook, just so you can kind of see my little journey over to Minnesota. Yeah, there it is. And of course, whenever you decide to spontaneously, on a rescue mission for a machine, take a trip like this, of course it's going to be raining. Of course. So yeah, it was raining off and on pretty good all the way there. And then things cleaned up as far as the weather when I arrived there, which was really awesome because this lady obviously doesn't know me from Adam. And she had the machine on the front stoop of the house, and that's kind of where we did the transaction and evaluated the machine and everything. So, but again, I think it's just a fabulous machine with a lot of potential. And I'll plug it in for you as well, just so you can kind of listen to it, and I'll show you some of the other providential materials. Matter of fact, I could do that right now before we go over to Facebook. Let me do that. I'll just kind of, why don't I move this case? And I had a long day yesterday, so if I seem a little bit almost like I'm kind of out of it, I'm out of it. My morning started at a little bit before 4 o'clock in the morning, and I finally, after getting done with a few follow-up things in the workshop and that, I finally went to bed last night. It was close to midnight, so yeah, that's a long enough day. That's why when Dr. Singer said, "Are you going to do some work now?" I was like, no. And I shut the light off on him, which he probably didn't appreciate, but oh well. He's a forgiving enough guy. Okay, let me set this case over here. Oh, and I didn't really even show you the case. The case, I can't imagine that it was run over by the car, because it just looks like, I mean, other than being bent out of shape, but it's partly because the lady didn't know how the machine went into the case, and she had it almost like upside down in the case and had a bungee cord around it. So, but the case, all in all, I'll just kind of show you before I move it off to the side. Real decent shape, and the latches work as well, which is super cool. Just kind of turn it around for you. And because she had jammed the machine in here and held it with a bungee cord, these little cubbies back here that are designed for the foot controller and the accessory box, this was basically flat to the bottom of the case. It was crunched. So I had to show her, yeah, you can just kind of pop them back out. It's riveted, just kind of pop it gently and work the form back out. And then I was able to get the foot controller back in and get the accessory box back in there as well. And she was like, "Oh, that's how it goes in." And I was like, yeah. And I'm thinking in my own mind, I obviously didn't articulate it, but I was thinking in my own mind, certain people just shouldn't be, you know, kind of like you hear about people being cruel to animals, being cruel to dogs or cats or any critters like that. And people will say, those people shouldn't even be allowed to own a pet. They just shouldn't be allowed to own a pet. Some people just, I mean, apart from inheriting it from their dad, which I get, they should be, you know what I mean. Like I said, I'm still ramping back up from a long day yesterday. I'll be like this probably for a couple days. All right, let's get this beautiful Swedish Beauty back into place. Let me try to get her plugged in down here. Yeah, I was shocked. I even tested the slow gear in this yesterday, And in spite of all the trauma that this Swedish Beauty had experienced, even the slow gear still worked. So that was like, wow, what? But again, it goes back to quality engineering. Had this been a contemporary machine and gotten run over by a car, that's it. See ya. There wouldn't be anything left of that machine, that's for sure. So the accessory box, let me see, just got a rubber band over it and then had it taped. I think she was just concerned about stuff coming apart in it or something, stuff falling out. Because the case looks like it's in fairly decent shape. It doesn't need to have tape on it. Some of these cases do get cracked and then people will tape them down. So this is the goodie box that I got with this machine, and this is part of, you know how sometimes you just get excited, you know, in a very genuine, spontaneous way, and you catch yourself and then you're like, oh darn, I shouldn't have shown that. That's kind of what I did when she showed me this box and opened it up and showed me all the attachments that were in here. It's not a full attachment series, but there's additional attachments in the bottom of the accessory box as well. And then in the back of the machine we already saw that there was cam A, and then we have cam B, cam C, and the very difficult to find cam D. Cam D is like golden. I mean, if you get a cam D with a Husqvarna Viking like this, you just can't find them. I have a couple of them in my collection, and I get requests all the time from people that are owners of Husqvarna Vikings, and they say, I have a cam A, I have a cam B, and a cam C. Is there actually a cam D? Does that exist? I go, yeah, it does, but it's like finding a needle in a haystack. So there's a cam D, which is golden, it's amazing. Cam A in the back you already saw. This is cam B. And last but not least, cam C. So I'm very, very blessed to have a full set of cams for this Swedish Beauty that was run over by a car. That's what caused, you know, I saw this and I was like, I could have tried to, you know, do poker face, but I'm not a good poker face guy. I'm just not. I'm just not. I saw that and, oh my gosh, cams A, B, C, and D. Oh boy. And then in here, I'm not sure why it was taken out. Yeah, it's not. Oh, there's a second one. Oh, I didn't even notice that. And a bobbin as well. So I have two bobbin cases. One looks like it's a lot shinier. Maybe it was a replacement bobbin case, and this is the original. Both of them have the tension band on them. Yeah, this looks like probably one of the remakes. But I'll try them both and see which one works better with the machine and then use that one, obviously. But then in this goodie box, original, I always call them a baby bottle, original Husqvarna oiling bottle. Doesn't it look like a baby bottle, almost like the babies of the past, the little baby dolls? They would have the little bottles that came with them, and then a lot of them would do the wetting thing, which I always thought, really? Why? Okay, whatever. But I'm not a little girl, so maybe I just didn't get it. You know, I was playing with my Tonka trucks and my cap guns and all that, like most guys. And the cool thing about the cam Ds is, and many of you probably know this because you're really, really smart, but the cam Ds were one of the few cams that came with a special little container. And this is the original container that cam D would have come in, stamped with Husqvarna. I've got a couple more of these, and like I said, they're just absolutely golden. They're just absolutely golden. If you find one, hang on to it fast and furious. However, I am preparing a machine right now for a customer, and at that time I did not have a cam A, and I told this customer, and I meant it, that I was going to give her one of my cam Ds. So I'm still going to do that. And I might even put it in one of these containers. I might do that for that customer. I love taking care of my customers. I love my customers. So very, very cool. Very cool. And then in here we've got additional bobbins, screwdriver, a few more attachments. What is this? It's a little thimble. This is not a Husqvarna thimble. Calico Corners. Does anyone know where Calico Corners is? Anything about that? Somebody Google Calico Corners, if you would. Type it in the chat. Tell us what it's about. Calico Corners. C-A-L-I-C-O-C-O. Oh, you know how to spell corners, duh. Calico Corners. Type it in Google. Post it in the chat. And if you post it, I'll send you something special. Tell us what Calico Corners is all about. And there's even some Husqvarna needles in here. So just, you know, from any of our vantage points that understand Swedish Beauties, it's a literal treasure trove. It's a literal treasure trove that this Husqvarna came with, in spite of the trauma that the machine went through. Oh, I'm not even done yet. Duh. Like I said, I'm a little bit tired still today. It had these universal woven knit needles in it. I've never really used these before. Size 70, 80. So if anyone does a lot of woven knit type sewing, if you contact me privately, I might just send these to you, because I don't know that I'm ever going to use them. So in all seriousness, you contact me. Yeah, give me a buck or so for postage, and I'll drop them in the mail free of charge to you. So otherwise, I'll hang on to them. Who knows? Maybe all of a sudden I'll start sewing woven knit type materials. I could probably use this on canvas too, no doubt. So some of the other cool stuff that came with this Swedish Beauty. A very, very original old needle threader. At that time it was 30 cents. There's nothing on the back, or I'd show that to you too. That's cool. I think that's cool. I love original providential stuff. And then we've got here the Viking sewing machine guarantee, the original registration card, which for some reason the owner, the father that won this as a prize or a gift, never ended up filling it out. So it's still blank. So if I end up eventually, when I get this machine done, and this is out of the great state of New York, you can see on the back of there. I didn't have a conversation with this lady at the level of saying, "Were you?" Oh yeah, actually I did. I take that back. I take that back. I take that back. She is originally from Brooklyn, she said. And her husband is originally from New York City, I think. So they are originally from New York. The family came from New York and then settled in Minnesota. So yeah, duh. It is a machine that would have been acquired out in the great state of New York City. I was just reading some of the bottom stuff here. This is so cool. Yeah, it's even got the establishment date of Husqvarna, 1689. Down in the bottom there, you can see it. So providential materials like this, kind of like the FOF 339 that I recently sent out to my friend after preparing it for her. When I can include providential material like this with a machine, I just think it's super awesome cool. There's another guarantee, a service guarantee. Original Viking advertisement. The Viking Husqvarna free arm rotary, another brand new model from Sweden with all the modern refinements for straight stitch sewing at its very best. How cool is this? I hadn't really focused in on this when I was at her location, but this would be actually very suitable for my Type 8E, wouldn't it? I mean, that basically is a Type 8E right there. We can't see the back of the machine, but that is a Type 8E, the straight stitch only machine, the rotary. That it's very possible that that might be a prize for this next major contest when we visit Norway. So I'm going to pull this out of the providential materials for this CI21A, and I'm going to put it with that other machine that might very well be the major prize for the next contest for us hitting 9,000 subscribers. She has such a cute, natural smile, doesn't she? She doesn't look like she's an actress. She just looks like she was wandering down the street and they said, "Hey, are you busy? Would you mind posing with this machine?" And she, a sweet Swedish girl, she just said, "Yeah, no problem," or however you would say that in Swedish. So, yeah. So this is I'm gonna pull this away from this machine and put it with the Type 8E as an original advertisement piece that would be appropriate for that machine. Very, very cool. There's the back of it. I didn't show you the back of it. Sorry about that. And no, I'm not going to continue to hold it here. If you're a slow reader, just hit rewind and freeze the screen. If you could, that'd be great. Broadway Sewing Center. I can only assume... Oh, that's West Broadway. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, and that's MPLS is an abbreviation for Minneapolis, right? I think it is. Or is it just Metropolitan? I have no idea. You can look at the bottom of that, tell me what you think. But I'm 99% sure this machine came out of New York originally. Here is another advertisement. This gal looks a little bit more like an actress, or a model, doesn't she? Or it's a facsimile of an actress model type gal. Yeah, she doesn't look as natural as that other girl that was on the other advertisement for the Type 8E. So this will stay with this machine because this is obviously 21A specific. All kinds of goodies on the inside. Shows you how to use. A couple of you have asked me about using the various attachments, which I don't know when I'm going to find time to potentially try to show you, and that I even have all the attachments that you'd want to see. But a lot of the manuals and books will show you some of this information as well, plus the decorative stitch options with some beautiful floss type thread. And there is a beautiful 21A right there. We'll just say it's a CI 21A. And the stitch card right here on the bottom, which is this. We actually have the stitch card right there. And you'll notice if you're not familiar with the Husqvarna Viking stitch cards, one side is for single needle sewing. The other side is for dual needle sewing. So that's kind of neat. And you just turn this inner dial right here, and then it gives you these specific settings for what you need to set the machine to, similar to the stitch cards for the Husqvarna Vikings. Just a brilliant tool to have. And there are aftermarket versions of these as well, and you can buy them. And some of them are quite good, but you're going to pay a price for them for sure. And just a quick little layout showing you how easy to set it. You've got your needle position, obviously. You've got your stitch length, your stitch width. There's what a stitch length knob looks like when it's not busted. So, but a wonderful, again, just an incredible bonus. And I'm sure I showed excitement over this too, which kind of shot me in the foot again, taking a machine that would have been free, and all of a sudden it grew a price tag, as I said in the post on Facebook. And then an original manual, which has kind of been tattered. It's been beat up pretty good, but I think I can put it back together and maybe get it rebound again so that it's in real good shape for anyone's use that is going to use this machine. So I'm just kind of spreading these things out so we can, at the end, we can look at our treasure trove. And a lot of you said, holy mackerel, that was quite a... Oh, there's stuff on the back too. Awesome. So this is kind of the back of the brochure. So it's so neat to get collateral material like this. I like the other girl better, don't you? If I put them side by side, the wholesomeness and the naturalness of what you would expect to see of a Swedish girl, or a Swedish beauty, as I may be presumptive in referring to them. This girl looks like she's from New York. Nothing against my New York friends. I love my New Yorkers. You all know that. But she looks like she's from New York, and this gal looks like she's from Sweden, doesn't she? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if I were the talent scout picking, I would have picked the gal. I would have picked this one in a heartbeat over this one. But this one may not even be a real person. It may be like a facsimile of the person or something. Who knows? Who knows? Somebody knows. Somebody knew. What else? Oh, that's right. Duh. So I was going to show you real quick on the back. I'll kind of lift the machine up carefully and turn it. This, I'll zoom in as well. This is the switch that was also damaged by the car accident. No, those aren't tread marks. I thought the same thing. Are those tread marks? Yeah, I don't think so. These are bent in a little bit as well. You probably can't see that in the shot at all. What I was pointing at is these spool pins for the spools of thread. Those are bent in as well, so that probably where the car went over it. It's just amazing again that it wasn't utterly destroyed. But the problem with this switch now is it's busted on the inside. I haven't taken it apart yet, obviously. I haven't had time. It's busted on the inside and it won't stay in the on position unless you kind of toggle it. See that? Don't have my screen turned around. Push it up, it doesn't stay on. And it's real, I mean, it's real flippy. This should be a crisp on off, and it's definitely not doing that. So I'll have to look and see what repair is needed so that light can stay on continuously. That might be helpful. I mean, try sewing and holding the light switch up at the same time and then maneuvering the material with your left hand. And if you're left-handed, oh boy, you are just up a creek with no paddle and no boat. So that's one of the things that'll have to be done. Turn this back around. Plug this foot controller in. Let me widen this shot. Yeah, that should be pretty good, I think. So this is the foot controller that came with it, and again, on the Husqvarnas, if you're new to this channel, just look at the back, and it'll have the nomenclature designator, it'll have the type FR number for the foot controller as well, and then it will also tell you which models it's compatible with. I'll be honest with you, the models compatible sometimes is a little bit off and on, because you'll find some that will have a series of models listed, and then you'll look at the identical foot controller by FR number, and it'll be missing some of the other models. So I think sometimes they may have missed a beat just a little bit on that, but it's at least a good guiding point, which a lot of foot controllers do not have. And it works. Who knew? And when I plug in it doesn't, like the Type 8E, when I initially unboxed it, and with the original foot controller, when I plugged it in, it started running continuously because one of the resistors had failed. This one actually works, which is awesome. Another bonus. So I'm going to squeeze it. Now that's all the way down, and that is not full power for a Husqvarna Viking. But look at, I mean, it's running pretty doggone good for getting run over by a car, don't you think? You can see I've got it all the way down. And some of you that have Husqvarnas, you might say, well, that's as much power as my machine puts out. That's full power. Not for one of my Husqvarna Vikings. When I get done with this machine, we're going to have a lot more grit than it has right now. And then if I engage the slow gear, which if you're new to Husqvarnas or you don't know a doggone thing about them at all, Husqvarnas have a number of wonderful features, and I talk about this all the time. Probably some of you that are real knowledgeable about Husqvarnas just go, Scott, would you stop that? We already know. Well, some people don't know. Interestingly, they don't know. And let me just get that cord out of the way. Some people do not know. We have to be a classroom. Oh, speaking of that, we have to be a classroom for all folks. And it's like the what you used to hear the teachers say, good teachers anyway, they would say there's no such thing as a dumb question. Well, there's no such thing as assuming that everybody knows either, because some folks won't know. So as we engage it, one of the beautiful features of this, and I'll just demonstrate it real quick, and I haven't tested this, so if it doesn't work, then I'll be like, oops. But on most machines, you've got to disengage a clutch when you're going to wind a bobbin. On a Husqvarna automatic, you slide the bobbin on, like so, and then when you press the foot controller, you'll see that the bobbin turns. But you'll notice as I come out on the shot, the needle is not moving. But then if I take that bobbin back off, and squeeze the foot controller, don't do anything else. You're going to hear a click, and then you'll see the needle start moving. Yeah, this thing is improving more and more the more we operate it, so I may not have to do as much as I thought to it, but I'm still going to go through my entire motor and electrical service on this machine, obviously. The other cool thing is down here, and you can't really see it, but it has what's called a jam-free Raceway. And the jam-free Raceway was designed also by the very smart Swedish folks. And what that is that the hook system inside of the Raceway, I'll try to show you as best as I'm able. The hook system inside of the Raceway actually has movement from side to side and from top to bottom. I can't see if you can see that on with my big old finger in the way. But it floats from left to right, from top to bottom continuously, so that with it not being in a fixed position, it's much less likely to create an issue with heavier thread jamming in there. So the Swedish were very, very proud of what they referred to as their jam-free Raceway. And I've talked to Husqvarna owners all around the world, and they all agree that that is a feature that it genuinely makes a huge difference with having a floating hook shuttle system instead of it being in a fixed position like most machines. So the last thing I'll show you real quick on this machine, gotta look and see what my shot is. Yeah, we're in the proper place. The last thing is the slow gear, which you activate by simply pulling this black ring out like so. And then what happens is it takes the machine, even if you squeeze the foot controller all the way down, it takes the machine from full power all the way down to 1/5 power, which means you have a built-in slow gear. So I'm going to kind of come out on this shot a little bit so you can kind of watch the needle as well, and then we'll zoom in on the needle. So I'm going to squeeze the foot controller all the way down. All the way down. And you see how fast the needle is going. Now if I stop that and I take that and slide that black piece back in to deactivate the slow gear, now watch the speed of that needle in comparison. all the way down. So you can see the benefit of that slow gear is huge. We go from this with the foot controller all the way down to this with the foot controller all the way down. Just fabulous engineering, just fabulous. And again, this Swedish Beauty, if you didn't know it, let me let you in on a secret. And I don't think I'm not breaking any rules, am I, Your Majesty? Okay, good. What I wanted to tell you is that Swedish Beauties are very proud. I think all sewing machines have pride, especially after they leave the workshop, and I've taken them through their special spa day and their restoration and just all the care and the TLC that I give to that machine when it's in the workshop here. And they just leave and they're standing taller and looking good, and they ought to be in Hollywood. You already know that line. I love that line. Because that's the way a machine should be. And I've said this before, the more proud, the more pumped up a machine is about how it feels about itself, the more proud that owner is. And the more that owner is likely to step out and talk to others about their vintage machines and get them excited about vintage machines. And the more we're going to build our movement of vintage machines, which is what our goal should be, right? That should be our goal. Our goal should be to get other folks excited, especially younger folks, getting them excited about Swedish Beauties and getting them involved with sewing machines and getting them to become collectors, so that the generations in the future will be able to look at something like this and go, oh my gosh, do you have any idea what that is? Look at do you know what you've got? Instead of them looking at it like a lot of young people now and seeing it as junk, seeing it as something that they could toss out on the curb and not give it a second thought. Providential material like this is a treasure instead of just something to throw in a waste can and not give it a second thought. And that's kind of where this lady was from Plymouth, Minnesota. She didn't get it. She didn't understand. Even though this machine had been in her family her entire life, she saw her dad win it. I think she said she was around 6 or 7 or something like that when her dad won the machine. She saw her mom using it. She saw it used and treasured all her life. And yet, prior to me making that spontaneous journey all the way to Plymouth, Minnesota, she was ready to throw it on the curb or take it to a recycle place. She just didn't get it. I know that the majority of you watching this right now, you get it. You understand why these are treasures. All of these things right here. These are all treasures. These are treasures. Treasures. All of these are treasures. Maybe not the Schmetz needles, but I think they're treasures too. That's my bias. Even a broken extension bed like this is a treasure because of all the care and engineering that went into it when it was originally made at the factory in Sweden. This is a treasure trove right here. And a couple of you maybe didn't say it, but you were wondering, gosh, did he really need to drive all the way to Plymouth, Minnesota from Oconto, Wisconsin to save another machine? You bet I did. And this is what would have gone into a garbage can or into a dumpster or thrown into a waste can at a recycling place, because none of them would have gotten it. They wouldn't have understood what this represents. So was it worth the trip? Absolutely. Would I do it again? Today. I hope I don't have to do it today, because I'm still getting back on my feet. That is a heck of a turnaround trip, going there, getting back, and all that. But well worth it. Well worth the trip, to say the least. So speaking of trip, let me take you over to Facebook real quick for those of you that don't do Facebook. And I will show you some quick little still shots that I took. And yes, I took it when I was driving, which probably some of you are saying, naughty, naughty. But how else am I going to do it? I'm on, hey, there I am. I'm on my own. He's there. He's gone. I got to do this. He's there. He's gone. There. Gone. There. Gone. I'm going to wear this thing out. I better stop that. Okay. So let's see what we have here. Yeah. So this is just a shot out of the windshield of the car, and as I alluded to, I think at the beginning of the premiere, yes, the entire trip until I got there, it was almost like the clouds cleared and the sun came out, although it was really quite windy over there in Plymouth, Minnesota. It rained the whole way. And so here you can see my wipers going, the road is wet, and I'm in the process of trying to make my journey to Plymouth, because I didn't have unlimited time either. This lady sounded a little bit impatient. She was a very nice lady when I met her, very, very nice lady. But she sounded a little bit impatient. Maybe she was just exasperated about, other things, and it just kind of tied into, kind of how she communicated to me. But the whole way it rained. I think that's what I was getting ready to say. More shots. And some of these are road signs. If you expand them on Facebook, you can kind of read them. But these are just different things I saw going down the highway along the road heading towards Minnesota. I think that's that might be an Eau Claire sign, I think. So I was getting, yeah, that's an Eau Claire sign. That may be a Minneapolis sign, I think. No, it isn't. This would be a fun thing to look up too. Elk Mound. If anyone wants to look this up just for fun and post it in the chat, feel free, this community. I'll take my hand off the camera so I stop jiggling it. So many cool little towns, and I kind of posted a shot of a sign warning about Amish carriages as well, because I was going through a lot of Amish country heading towards Minnesota as well. I think that's one of my Minnesota signs there. Pretty sure it is. Yep, St. Paul, Minnesota. More road signs, more rain. I think there especially it was raining real hard. Actually, it was kind of causing traffic to slow down. You can see that semi-tractor trailer up ahead of me. And here's where the rain kind of lightened up a little bit. It may have been drizzling just barely, but you can see the beautiful fall colors. And I believe I'm still in Wisconsin at this point, maybe. I don't know if I'm officially, I might be officially in Minnesota. I have no idea. It was a whirlwind tour, to say the least. But some beautiful fall colors. And depending on where you're at, where you're watching this premiere, this impromptu premiere, you may have leaves that are turning beautifully like this as well. If you do, send me some pictures of your area with the fall colors, and I will by all means post them on the Cow Country Facebook page, because I know people love to see the fall colors, and the fall colors are different depending on where you're at. They can be richer, they can be red, they can be orange, they can be all kinds of gorgeous colors. The good Lord has a very, very cool paintbrush, and he doesn't limit what he does with it, that's for sure. That's a goofy picture of me. I stopped at a rest stop to grab a quick soda and also to use the bathroom facilities. And it was one of those, it was actually a quick trip, and it was one of those quick trips that's designed for truckers to stop there as well. So they had a shower room. I did not go into shower rooms because I'm just, you know how I like everything clean, and the idea of going to a shower room that hundreds of people have used, even though supposedly they clean it, I'm sure on a regular schedule. And yeah, I didn't even step in there. I was in the hallway, and that was close enough. So there's my shock and amazement. Hey, a shower room! And probably, oh, disgusting. All it's just, yeah, my eyes are kind of saying both at the same time. And there the skies are really starting to clear up a lot better, and you can really start to see the blueness of the sky, and just, it's a beautiful trip. And that's just a quick little shot of my Garmin GPS, kind of showing you where I'm at in my trip. Again, my day started at about 4 a.m. I left Oconto a little bit after 5, and so it must be a little bit over 5 hours to get to where I was going in Plymouth, Minnesota. And yes, if you're real observant, if you're really observant, you'll notice that the speed limit is 65 and I was doing 72. The red 72 is what my actual vehicle speed is on my GPS. But you know what? In all fairness to me, I think that my maps are more than a year out of date. And I believe that that road has actually been changed to 70 miles an hour. So I was only going 2 miles an hour over the speed limit. Yes, I was still speeding. Yes. I heard you, Dr. Singer. I heard you. Yes, I was still speeding. And then we're coming into the cityscape a little bit. Looks like a beautiful town. St. Paul. Looks like a beautiful city. Any of you that are originally from Minnesota or from that area, I'm sure that it's a lovely place to live. Just a cool water tower. I thought it was different than most of the water towers. Had kind of a ribbed, almost a kind of a quilted look to it, kind of a puckery look to the, see the foundation? I have no idea what town that was, but it just looked cool to me, so I'm literally going at highway speed. I'm literally going at highway speed. You see all the traffic behind me in the side view mirror. And I quickly grabbed my camera and just pointed it in that direction. I literally just pointed it in that direction, and it came out. It's just amazing. It was like a miracle of the trip. Total miracle of the trip. There's a sign, what does that say? St. Paul. And you can see the sky is really opening up, nice and blue and beautiful. Here's a Minneapolis St. Paul sign. I wouldn't say the traffic was heavy, but it was definitely steady. And there you can see St. Paul off in the distance. Again, the cityscape when you're coming down the highway, I don't know if they designed it that way or if it just ended up coming out that way, but it looks like a lovely city. So any of you from Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, whatever, look like you have a lovely city. You know, the only deficit you have is you got the Vikings, but what are you going to do about that? You know, you got what you got. I'm going to get some notes about that. I already see them coming. So, again, a beautiful cityscape there of St. Paul. More highway signs. And again, if you're on Facebook, you can actually read them. You probably can't read them at all here. And there's a little tunnel when you're getting near the downtown area. You have to buzz through this tunnel. So yes, going through the tunnel at highway speeds with traffic all around me, I did grab my camera again and I had to take a picture to share with all of you this super cool tunnel. I just think tunnels are awesome. I just think they're super awesome. When I was over in Europe, I went through some real cool tunnels as well. And this is just a sign marking the community area where this owner of the Swedish Beauty lived, and I just kind of took it as, I'm here! I'm finally here! I know it was only a matter of, you know, less than minutes before I would finally get to my destination after that long drive, and it was a celebratory photo. So here I'm on the porch of that the owner that had the machine, and I've got it tilted back because I'm trying to look at the machine from different angles and just see. As soon as I saw that broken extension bed, again, I'm just going to break away real quick. As soon as I saw this broken extension bed, and I was like, holy cow, what have I gotten myself into? I really kind of tried to examine the machine as thoroughly as I could and just find out, you know, the extent of how the Swedish Beauty had been damaged and what I would have to do to get her back on her feet. And these you've already seen in this premiere today. The punch through on the case, the motor case on the rear, the broken switch, the tread marks most likely, who knows. The broken thread guide here on the front. The broken stitch length controller. The broken extension bed. Again, the very first broken extension bed I've ever seen on a Swedish Beauty. and all the wonderful providential material that her father would have gotten when he won or acquired this machine through a contest. And that's it. That was my trip to Plymouth, Minnesota from Oconto, Wisconsin. And again, it was absolutely worth it. Not only for all of the treasures that I've already shown you on this table over here, all of the wonderful, amazing treasures, but just the knowledge that this machine otherwise very likely would have been busted up and stuck into a dumpster. And as you saw, even after the trauma of getting run over by a car, she has a spirit of pride and a spirit of determination in wanting to get back up on her feet again and be at the top of her game by what she demonstrated to us today in this premiere, with firing up and running beautifully for a machine that was run over by a vehicle of thousands of pounds. And she still can say, look at me, I'm a Swedish Beauty. I'm beat up, I'm damaged, but I'm in the right place now at the workshop, and Scott is going to take care of me. Scott is going to take care of me and get me back to a point where I will be at the top of my game, and I guarantee I will. I guarantee it. That's a promise to you, Your Majesty, as well. So, if you ever have the opportunity where someone reaches out to you and they say, I've got this machine, but I'm going to throw it away, and I'm going to throw it away today, you may or may not be able to jump in the car like I did and drive a huge distance to save that machine. But if you have the opportunity, you have the means, and you have the time, I hope you'll step forward and take action. I hope you'll step forward and rescue that machine. Because what a loss, what a huge loss, if you can visualize in your mind this machine in a dumpster, tossed in there like garbage, other things being thrown on top of it, knowing that it's going to be crushed and destroyed and lost forever. That's a reason that I think any one of us, if we are able, would jump into the car and drive 5 hours, 10 hours round trip, knowing that we had done what needed to be done. So there you go. So I'm hoping that I don't get another call like that today or tomorrow, but if I do, the car's already gassed up and I'm ready to go. So God bless, take care, and remember, the greatest prize in life is working hard at work worth doing. That's what I do here at the workshop. And I also do it by jumping into a car and driving to Plymouth, Minnesota. And I'm sure you're doing great things as well. Prizes in your life. Just hang on to those prizes and keep it on going. Keep it on going. Is that really a sentence? I don't know if it is or not. Again, not much sleep. Take care, everybody. And better tomorrows.